Wow, that was
I
pretty
did it.
good.
Yeah, I did it.
Yes. One of these days, we'll actually maybe start putting back in that full intro
Yeah,
video.
the full.
Maybe,
Yeah, maybe
uh,
one day. It's still there.
maybe it is still there. It's there for us if we want it. On the
Yeah.
days where we're not already starting a couple minutes behind
Yeah, exactly.
the line, maybe. Um, Hi, hello, GitOpsians. How are you?
Yes. Yes. Awesome. Yes. Exactly. By the way, we're live.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. So we're back after kind of a short hiatus, right? I guess just kind of we were off for a little bit. You had some time off, and we had KubeCon, and we figured well let's take a little break, right? Kind of a little kind of sanity break, because I don't know about anyone else out there. I know for KubeCon and ArgoCon, for me, it's like kind of hectic because not only are Hilliary and I had a presentation there. Not only like we're working on presentations, but like I'm actually part of the planning committee for ArgoCon. So like there's like other stuff, right? And so um, anyway, long story short, that's why we took a little kind of a little extended break. I had an amazing time at QCon in Amsterdam. So first I want to talk about Amsterdam. Um, every time I go to Amsterdam, like it's been I've been there a few times. Anytime I go there, I always think like, why haven't I moved here yet? Absolutely love the city. I don't know about any of you out there. I love the city.
No, it was too much for me. It was too much for me. Where I went after KubeCon, I went a little bit south to another city called Utrecht.
Oh, Utrecht.
And I loved that city. Now, that's a city I could live in. It
Oh,
is
that's pretty cool.
absolutely amazing.
Awesome. I didn't venture too far out from the actual city. I kind of stayed a little bit outside of downtown, and then the only time I ventured out, I actually visited the Red Hat office, which is kind of like on the outskirts. It's still technically Amsterdam, but like if you cross the street, you're somewhere else. It's on the outskirts. So that was pretty cool to see.
It's also on the opposite side of town from the IBM building.
There you
So
go.
that's actually where I ended up staying. Is I ended up staying across the street from the IBM building because that's where the corporate discounts gave me a good hotel rate,
Yeah.
which was very like quick free bus to the metro and then the 10-minute train ride into the into where the ride was. So it was a super easy commute for me. And then, but yeah, so like this huge IBM building is just right there, and then it's not very far away from the airport either. Like literally an 8-minute car ride, and so um I looked at it, I was like, okay, so how would I get to the Red Hat office if I want to go? And I was like, no,
No,
I'm not going all the way across town.
it's like you have to change trains like 3 or 4 times just to
Oh yeah,
just to
no,
get
it was not going
or
to
go to the
happen.
central station and then come back down. Yeah, it's
It was not going to happen for me. Absolutely not.
it wasn't gonna happen. So yeah, no, I absolutely yeah, a lot of coffee shops. I had a lot of coffee, but only because Hillary and I are West Coasters. It's literally a 9-hour difference, so our time was flipped around. So I had a ton of coffee. I had trouble.
Of
I had
coffee.
trouble weaning myself off of coffee because when I got back, like I had jet lag and I was trying to like wean myself off, and it's like that wasn't happening. I was having 3 or 4 cups, and now finally I think I'm back down to like my 1.5 cup a day sort of thing. But lots of coffee shops for sure.
Yeah, there was a lot of coffee, and there was zero bad coffee. I had no bad coffee anywhere I went. I had great coffee.
I had it. Sometimes it surprises you the cities that you go to, that you have like I'm surprised by the coffee here, and then you go to another city. It's like I thought they would have good coffee, but they don't. So like,
Right?
so like Spain, I was like, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But Amsterdam, great coffee almost everywhere. You can get good coffee, like just random shops you can go to. Vienna's another place. I don't know if you've been to Vienna. It's like I expected it to have
Haven't.
amazing coffee. I haven't had a good one. I know it's a big city, so if anyone out there from Vienna wants to send me some recommendations, because I don't
Tell me
really
where
find
the
in
good
Vienna.
coffee is.
Yeah,
In
tell me where the good coffee is. Yeah, exactly. Um,
Vienna,
so
yeah.
yeah, before we get into like, we already kind of started talking about Amsterdam, but the actual like KubeCon, ArgoCon thing, I do want to give a, is this us? We can post as Restream. I'm still trying to figure out this UI, but I'll maybe paste it here and hopefully it'll go. GitOpsCon is happening Monday. I will be there. I'm flying out actually Sunday evening. and I'll be there on Monday and Tuesday for GitOpsCon. So this is for those who haven't heard CDCon, which is kind of like the CD Foundation, and CDCon is the governing organization that governs like stuff like Tecton, I guess, for us, and like Jenkins and other CD specific tools. That's kind of their conference. We kind of glommed them together because it's all related, right? It's all get a CD, continuous delivery, continuous deployment. It's related to GitOps. That's all kinds of. So I'll be there. I actually have a keynote, and I'm emceeing day 2. So in case you haven't gotten enough of me yet, go to GitOpsCon in Vancouver. A lot of folks are going, and a lot of my favorite Canadians will be there because it's in Vancouver. A lot of I know a lot of Canadian Red Hatters for whatever reason. I just know a lot of them. So I'll see a few of those folks there. It'd be great. So yeah, check it out if you're in the area, or if you can get that last minute travel approved. Go ahead and go. I'll be there running that event. So come say hi if you're going. So much fun. It feels like I just got back and now I'm flying out again. So hopefully...
Yeah, it literally was way too soon. Oof. I'm not going to that one. I'll be staying home. I have taken some kind of trip every month this year so far. I literally have taken some kind of trip every month since November. So I am super done with being anywhere but home. I'm very happy to stay home. I'm not as important a person as you are. I don't have committees and all this other things like that require me to be planning and executing these types of events. Because that sounds exhausting, honestly. Yeah. So thank you and everybody with you who does that. I appreciate you all so much because I always enjoy the conferences when I go, but I am so glad that's not me.
Yeah. It is actually, good shout out. Cause like shout out to also like the folks that do like, what do you call it? That does like KubeCon and kind of like some of the bigger ones. I'm doing like ArgoCon and GitOpsCon, which is like tiny compared to some of these bigger things. So yeah, shout out to them. And Gerald will be there, by the way. I don't know if it's float plane. I don't know if you ever seen the float planes that land on the water in Vancouver. That's really, really cool. Hopefully Gerald, because he lives in Victoria, so he does really literally need to either take a ferry or take a float plane. So hopefully he
drive his little plane.
Drive his little plane. Yeah, I see him parked right at the convention center. So Gerald will be there, by the way, Tal. So if you want to say hi to Gerald, he'll be there.
Brilliant.
Okay.
I think I forgot to get a picture with Natalie when I saw him in person. And the three of us never got a picture like we said we were going to, but we were all like together for 5 seconds.
Yeah, and we're all three of us were together, right? Yeah, we're all there by the Red Hat booth.
I think Natalie is the one who took the picture of the two of us, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
We were not awake. We really were not awake.
No,
it was. Our presentation, I think, was great. I watched the recording, which is up actually. After the fact, I thought that went very well. I was told it went very well, and I was like, good, I'm glad you think so, because I don't remember what I just said. I was so out of it.
Yeah, we did a presentation. Let me actually find it on YouTube at ArgoCon. Where is that playlist? I know they like just came out. I probably have to look for like the CNCF playlist. Oh, there we go, CNCF. Let me see here.
But what was fun for me though is so after ArgoCon, right? So first of all, after our talk at ArgoCon, a couple people come up to me, and they used to work at Red Hat, and they're like, "Hey, we remember you from Memo List."
Yes.
Like, there's only been one time I've been on Memo List, right?
Yeah, exactly. Which is funny because it's like that's the exact for us Red Hatters. So for this is kind of like an inside Red Hat joke, right? So like for Red Hatters that are watching, that's an appropriate reaction of like, hey, I saw you post on Memo List. You're like, uh-oh. At first you don't know whether it's a positive or negative, right? Until they tell you.
Yeah. So I know it was a positive.
Yeah.
So I was really like, but I was like, they were like, oh yeah, because we saw that thread on Memo List, we knew we had to come to your talk, and I was like, oh my god, that is like so sweet.
Yeah.
I was beside myself with like joy. Um, and then kind of around the conference, I had this unusual experience. So last year, KubeCon, nobody knew who I was, right? Nobody. I was under the radar. This
Yeah.
year, I was like at the Red Hat booth, and somebody comes up to me, and his name is Tomas. So hi, Tomas. He apparently lives, I think he said in Finland, and he
Oh.
watches our recordings
Oh,
after the
nice.
fact. He's never on live because of the time. He always is watching us after the fact, and I'm like, that is. I don't think that the stream, like, I didn't think it was that cool. To
Yeah.
watch it
I
live,
didn't think we had that
honestly.
much of an outreach. Yeah, that people watch it after the
Yeah.
fact.
If you watch after, I didn't think we were that cool, except for like I know some of our friends watch it after the fact, like that. Like,
Yeah.
so somebody I did not know to come up and say that he watches our show after the fact, and like I was like, oh my god, that's super cool. Um, and then I had a couple other people when I was around that would kind of be like, and I'm like, oh hey, do you need anything? And like,
Yeah.
do I recognize you from YouTube? And I was like, yes,
Yes.
yes you do. Which is so weird. So that was very strange, and also really delightful because I'm obviously doing this because I love attention. So like, thank
Yeah.
you so
Yeah.
much
Thank
for
you.
watching and giving me the attention that I want. It's an honor. Um, so that was really exciting for me. And then I think notable other highlights was overhearing somebody say, "Hang on, I'll call her and get her over to the booth," and then realizing that the her was me,
Oh, okay.
and then um, having to do an on the fly like demo of something in OpenShift, like to do with like how logging
Yeah.
works and kind of what options you have for logging and observability with OpenShift. When I was unprepared and literally had access to one dev cluster that was currently running absolutely nothing. So it was
Nice.
like the most useless demo ever, but they did get what they needed out of it. So that was good, and it was really just like um,
Yeah,
I was like,
some of the best demos are the off the cuff demos. I mean,
yeah.
to be honest with you, are off the cuff because I don't know what it is, the pressure or like the idea that like, oh, can I quickly show this? Like it's almost like a challenge, right? To some of this, I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's pretty cool. That ends up being really really cool. The off the cuff demos, I think were pretty cool. I really liked. Um, I like going like I do booth hopping because
Mm-hmm.
I just because like I'm just like a genuine like just I'm like a curious guy, curious person. Yeah, Tal says where expectations are low for the off the cuff demos, so that's pretty that's
100%.
yes
They
it's
are
you
super
know
low. It's like there's the bar
yeah
is like you can jump over it if you just show your screen. You've
yeah
made it.
exactly yeah well if you can get the screen share to work then that's like 90% of it right there.
Yep.
I do booth hopping because I like to just kind of like like I went to the sneak booth. I went to the JFrog booth because
Okay,
kind of
can
like
we
is really
stop
really
and talk about the sneak booth real quick?
yes just do
Because
it
I did want to talk about that. So the sneak booth, right? They had this claw game to grab the sneak like dog plushies that they were giving out, which I did not win. And we had
oh
mentioned sneak in our talk.
you mean this guy yes
I hate you. Anyway, they said if I came back, they would give me one for having mentioned it in the talk, but I never actually went
yes
over and took
so
them
I
up on
did.
it. So
This
so
is
you
like
did it.
four tries, by the way. It took a while.
Oh man,
It took like 4
it
days.
was hard. Okay, but did you actually look at the coin they gave you to put in the machine?
No, I did not.
Okay, I almost would have like wanted to like grab that and run
Oh,
because
okay.
it was a sneak branded token. They had custom tokens for their claw machine made, and it has a little sneak logo on it. And I was like,
Yeah.
that's cool. I like that a
I
lot.
want. Yeah. It's the little details, right? Yeah. The
It's the
sneak
little
booth was.
details.
Yeah, it was really. I mean, obviously, I did stop by because I got this little guy here. This so cute. And I always like talking to the booths just to kind of see like what kind of solution like it's so funny, it's so vast, right? Like the
Mm-hmm.
vendors that that kind of just exploded because of like cloud native, right? Because of the CNCF and all the projects, and all these different companies kind of just exploded. So I'm like, oh, like what use cases you're trying to solve, and I like booth hopping. So that's kind of like um my favorite thing. If I'm at the Red Hat booth and it seems like there's enough Red Hatters there, I defect, right? Like I'm like, I'm gonna go for a walk because it seems like everyone has this covered. And so that was kind of one of my favorite. The swag was kind of. I was disappointed in the swag.
Yeah.
This was probably the best I saw out there. The snake dog, and then I mean the red hats,
Actually,
right? The fedoras were pretty
yeah,
cool.
the summer hat thing was it's always a whole thing, right? You literally have to run for those if you want them. But
Yeah.
so I ended up accidentally spending an hour and a half at the Dynatrace booth.
There you go. Your old friends Dynatrace, right? Your old friends
Dynatrace.
Yeah.
Andy wasn't even there. Andy was at the Captain booth, and I did go say hi to
Okay.
him.
Yeah.
And so but I did actually end up accidentally spending an hour there, and we have like some strategic partnership with Dynatrace. So that's like they saw Red Hat, they were like, friend, and
Yes.
I got like literally just thrown all the swag.
Yeah, that's pretty
and
cool.
they had a great shirt with like a nice logo I really like, but was really cool. I don't have them in arms race to show. Was the socks with the little Dynatrace logo just repeating all over those socks.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Those were good. Those were good socks. I was very happy with those. So yeah, the swag was not. I mean, there were no more Helm bike bells or anything, and like
that
the
was
lack
cool.
of bike bells in Amsterdam of all places.
At all places, that's right.
I kind of wonder if they had actually because we were in Amsterdam.
For those who are wondering,
we were in Amsterdam this year because we were actually supposed to be in Amsterdam in 2020. And it got canceled. So I was wondering if the reason they had the bike bells in Valencia was because they'd had them made for Amsterdam.
And it got canceled. Okay.
Yeah, it got canceled, got pushed. So I don't know. That's just sort of a theory that I have, because that would have
because it makes sense. It does make sense.
It makes sense.
The bike bells to Amsterdam. So
if somebody from Helm could confirm or deny my like conspiracy theory here, that would be awesome. Maybe Andrew Block knows.
Yeah, Andrew Block probably knows with the helm. Yeah, so like in terms of swag, it was okay. But nothing was a must-have. There's usually like one that's like kind of like a must-have. I know Palumi had like the little ears. One year, I think it was in Valencia. That was pretty hot sought after item. But yeah, no, it was it was a lot of fun.
What was the name? There was one like incident management or alerting company.
Oh, with the bag. Yeah.
Yeah, with the bag.
Oh,
the fire logo. It was pretty cool. I cannot remember their name. Shame on me.
Yeah.
I never found their booth as a big part of it. I never figured out which booth was theirs, so that's why I don't really remember.
It was actually they were badly placed. They were like they were across from us, but like facing the glass. So like the whole so I would so the person would walk in and make a left immediately because it seemed that's where all the booths were, but there was actually a few on the right. Like if you made a right, there was like actually a few, and they were stuck out there in the front. So
I completely missed their existence.
Yes, yeah, it was easy to miss them. Yeah,
that was that's a shame. Yeah, so I didn't actually go to any of the parties. People asked me if I was going, and I was like, no, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I'll go do my own thing.
Yeah.
So I did go get a tattoo, which was very fun.
Tattoo in Amsterdam, that's really cool.
Yeah. I'm really happy with it, actually. I keep talking about like I'm going to get a tattoo when I travel. I finally did it. It was in the red light district too, so like the people watching was just fantastic.
Top notch. Right
top tier people watching. Yeah. Absolutely top tier. But the shop was really cool, and I'm really happy with the tattoos. About 2 weeks old now, so it's like healing very nicely. I'm really happy with it. And so so I did that. Okay, is it just me? This is totally not KubeCon related. I went through Amsterdam, and like every part of Amsterdam that I visited, if you had told me it was a different city, I would have believed you. Like,
Yeah.
was it just me? Does it like every district have its like own completely distinct like look
They
and
look and
feel?
feel. Yes, absolutely. Because it's like I was where my hotel was. It felt very like you could have been in New York, right? Like it's like because I guess it's very like busy, businessy type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then like a short 10-minute train ride, and then like you're in downtown. I'm like, oh, this is Amsterdam. Yeah, it feels like Amsterdam. Other parts, yeah, like felt like I would say more like New England. Very interestingly enough,
Yeah,
like Boston-ish.
yeah,
Yeah, very New
yes.
Englandish. I was like, oh, like yeah, like I, So yes, absolutely, you're absolutely right there.
Yeah, that was what really stood out to me. It was just like, okay, everywhere I go feels like a completely different city. Um, but their transit system as a whole, oh, I liked their transit system. I was very, very happy leveraging their transit system.
Oh yeah,
I
they're the app, right? To kind of just like
Yeah,
it's pretty much one app, and you can buy tickets to whatever, right? Like buses. I was gonna say S-Bahn, but like the streetcars or the subway. It's just one app, and you kind of just tap it. It's really really cool. Very convenient, I would say.
yeah, very, very convenient, very easy to navigate. Like um, I only got turned around on the train once,
Hmm.
um, and that
Yeah,
was that was the only
I
thing.
I did
Um,
too.
it
I
happened
blame
one time.
it happened one time. I blame the jet lag. But
Yeah. No, I was one of the, I literally was just like, oh, I'm going to go ahead and call my husband because I'm like really tired and I don't want to fall asleep on this train. And then I missed the fact that I needed to transfer
oh
the
yeah, yeah.
train. So I had to get off and then go up across, and then go back to the transfer point and then transfer. And it was fine. It wasn't that bad. It was like a 3-minute delay. The trains are so frequent.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah. So for ArgoCon, oh, I think you froze up. Is it me? Is it you? I'm not sure. There we
I
go.
don't know.
We don't know. So for ArgoCon, I don't know what there was like for me, there was two talks that kind of like stood out. I mean, other than ours, that by the way, if you wanted to see, I posted in the chat. That's our talk there. Those who are watching on video, go ahead and pause it so that way you can that way you can type that vigorously. But I like the one talking about uh, this one from what do you call it? New York Times, right? So like the New York Times talking about how they're using Argo, how they're doing multi-tenancy, how they're doing security with Argo CD. It was really really cool to kind of hear. These are always my favorite talks, right? Like actual, I guess tales from the trenches, right? Like actual like
Mm-hmm.
implementation
Mm-hmm.
of certain like from like a large organization like the New York Times, right? Like not to disparage like SMBs or anything like that, but like you want to know that it's gonna scale, and I think these stories show like how well it's gonna scale. What I did find interesting for those who if you click on that link here, I'll show you that again. If you're watching this on recording, vigorously type it, pause it. Um,
It
they
usually actually restreams our comments, and
Oh,
on
okay,
YouTube
cool.
it does it restreams our comments, and you can actually click in there, so that it should show up for them.
It should show up, right? They talk about multi-tenancy, and what's very, very interesting is that actually, let me share my screen real quick. Let me do that. Wait, no, cancel. How do I do this? Okay, no. It's like my first day, right?
Yeah, I know, right? We're so rusty.
No. Oh, window. There we go. Okay, can I do window? There we go. This one. Yeah. So do you see?
Yeah.
Cool, cool. So I won't ruin it. Go see the talk. It's actually really, really cool. But I'll just kind of go over kind of like what they went. They went through kind of like the different architectures that they went through. Um, kind of like the hub and spoke design, right? Like one Argo to rule them all. One Argo per cluster, and they did one per logical group or split instances. What's very interesting is that New York Times actually mentioned open cluster management, which is basically ACM, right? So like they were actually looking at the upstream open cluster management to kind of do what they call split instances. And what they ended up doing is kind of like a hybrid, right? They kind of did like a one management cluster, and they said that that's the bulk of their work, and then there's only some instances that are doing it per cluster. But essentially, they have like an Argo instance per, I guess, environment. I guess one for like dev, one for stage, one for production, or however many environments. And that's kind of like what they ended up with. And so I thought that was interesting. Go check out that talk. I love like hearing the reasons for their design, and yeah, so it may not apply to you. Like, it's kind of one of those things. It's like, oh, that wouldn't apply to me. However, it's interesting how, like, how they actually did their homework, right? Like they actually like said,
Yeah.
what would work best for us. So I think that's really, really cool. So I would check that talk out.
Yeah, I actually missed that talk. So I'm going to go watch that talk now. That's going to be what I do.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't know,
exactly.
over lunch or something. I haven't had lunch yet, so I'll do that eventually. Also, can we just, like,
Yeah, lunch
for a
eventually. Yes.
moment, talk about the just simple but like perfect branding on their slides, like the all black slide with the white, the New
Yes.
York Times. Like,
Yes.
it's
It's like
so elegant. It's so nice. I got distracted by that actually, and I was like, "Wow, these are great architectural diagrams." But let's look at that slide branding. Like,
that's like
that's
yeah,
nice.
yes, yeah. Stay on point, right? I do like that they kind of like stuck on brand. So I think I like
Hmm.
that. I
I like
respect
that
the
a
game.
lot.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I
Yeah.
respect the game.
For sure.
Uh,
For
I
sure.
I could not get with it with our slides, as you know. You actually took what was just info dumps on slides and actually made them something to look at. Um,
Yeah.
Thank you for that, by the way.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It's I always tell people it's like having engineers doing presentations is difficult for them, and like people don't get that. Like, oh, we need we need your slide deck in. They give you a date, and it's like people who are engineering minded like start sweating because like even if it's like 3 months out, like they're like they don't know where to begin. It's yeah. So I respect when they have like they're on brand, really well laid out. Um, this is a kind of a cool comment here. Here
hey,
they
Steven.
hey, so here
Steven's on my team.
sweet. Hey Steven. They were expected to see New York Times at KubeCon. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. So that's really cool, right? Like to see kind of like the non-tech companies like really drive like tech things. So for like he says hi back. Um, I so for like the progressive sync controller for Argo CD, which I think I demoed not too long ago. We may revisit that one day, but that was actually written by Indeed. So like just like the internal engineers of Indeed had a need, they wrote a controller, they submitted it upstream, and now it's in Argo CD. Now everyone can enjoy it. So that's kind of cool. I also enjoy that as well.
Yeah. I mean, and honestly, like, non-tech companies are really who we do this for. You know, it really
Yeah.
is like they're who we do this for. It's like you don't have to figure this stuff out yourself because we've created a project that can help do it for you. So I like it when we get to see like I mean, not so me. I haven't really done any contributions to Argo, but like more like for
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
and other things that I have contributed to, like getting to see like yes, these are really part of our target demographic actually
Yeah.
doing the things with the tool that we gave them and understanding all like the breadth of our impact, right? These are open source projects that we're dedicating a lot of our like free time to, and to see like it have that impact that we want, I'm like always just really in awe of the fact that that actually happens. Like the world is running on open source. That's amazing.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely, and that's really cool. Oh, and by the way, this is how jet lag we are. Today is May the 4th, and we completely forgot to mention that today is May the 4th.
I forgot to put up my Rogue One poster. What is wrong
That's right.
with me? I even
Oh
talked
man.
about doing it.
we talked about, yeah, yesterday you said I'm gonna put up a Rogue One poster. I'm like, yeah, it's May the 4th. So happy
But
Star
like
Wars
it's
Day for everyone.
ginormous, folks. So like it's like the moving it is it's not even around right now. Moving it is
Yeah, pain.
such a task and a half.
Yeah.
But I still stand by. We talked about it last year. Rogue One is my favorite Star Wars movie.
Yes, Rogue One, it absolutely is. It's like almost the perfect movie. Like there
Yeah.
was just like from beginning to end, everything was like I absolutely agree.
Yep.
Um,
I saw somebody on maybe Twitter, I forget where I saw this, said that Star Wars is really just a story about a data breach that's poorly handled.
yes, it is. Yeah, yes, it was a data breach that was poorly handled. That's absolutely is. Oh,
Um,
how
and
funny!
I was just like, you know,
You're not
no
wrong.
notes. You're not wrong. Um,
uh, another talk actually I kind of wanted to mention is this one was from someone called Thomas Fricke. I don't know. I apologize if I butchered your name, but works for does contract work for the German government around energy healthcare. Anyways, if check out the slides because he had a great story around well, check out the slides and the presentation, but he has a story around how the war in Ukraine impacted like his edge, because they have like edge, computing like with Argo, and he said that um, you know they lost, I forget how much during attacks, right? Like grid attacks to the actual infrastructure, and how him and his team handled like doing like failover and getting things up and running, and how to do things like in an air gapped environment to reduce the impact, right? One piece of equipment gets hacked, it can't like reach out to the other ones because it's air gapped. It's kind of like a self-sustaining thing. And so yeah, and then he goes over kind of some of the tools, yeah, he uses: Argo, Kubernetes, Trivy, I think Git, things like that. So I thought that was an interesting talk. I tried to catch him after his talk, but like he got swarmed by a bunch of people after his talk. So I was like,
yeah, I
damn,
bet.
I wanted to pick his brain, but yeah. So that's kind of like I would check that out. Right, cloud native deployments to air gapped environments. Don't let the title fool you. It is about security, but then it goes into a story about like the Ukraine war and how like technology, right? Like how technologists, they have to prepare for things like that, and like it was just kind of like it's really really great. So that's another talk I really like from KubeCon.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I saw so few talks because I was like doing booth stuff. Oh, but there was a really good talk I watched. I think it's not coming to me right now. It's
Yeah, it's
not coming to me. I couldn't tell you any characteristics about it other than I liked it.
other than like
Um, and I stayed in Europe for an entire second week after KubeCon, so I've had less time to adjust back to the current time zone. So I swear I'm just running at such a mental deficit right now.
yeah, it's like you're permanently jet lagged. It's like because 2 weeks is actually a long time. It takes you, I think, exponentially longer to come back from jet lag every week that you're there. So
Yeah, yeah, and I'm just like looking at Sketch to see if I know I had put things on like that I was going to watch on my schedule, but I don't see them there now, so I'm not sure if I removed them or what I did. But there you go. Shame on me. I'm the worst. Um, it was But that's a really interesting. I mean, I like KubeCon a lot. I think we had significantly more people in person this year than last year, so it was actually even bigger conference.
mm.
Um, and one of the other talks I did, which was kind of like off in like this little side room, so that was
Hmm.
kind of interesting. Was on the maintainer track. I'm a member of the Kubernetes Code of Conduct Committee, so the whole
Oh,
committee got
awesome.
together, right? And we actually just talked about how we do what we do in the community, and a little bit like more about like kind of demystifying us,
Hmm.
demonstrating that we're people. So somewhere, I hope there's a link to that talk somewhere. I encourage anybody who's at all involved in an open source community, or especially the Kubernetes community, to just kind of take a look at the talk, and the things that we discuss in there. Because specifically, it was like, um, how do I say this? It's really just like we're putting all of our, like, we're putting a lot of heart into our
Yeah,
time on the
yeah,
committee. And so
yeah. A lot of people
I
don't
hope,
realize it's like a labor of love. Sometimes it's
yeah,
like, it's not. Some of these folks do this thing like on their spare time, right? Like they're not getting paid for it. So, um, it's cool to kind of like, like put a face to, some of these things. Like you said, demystifying. It's not like, there's someone in the tower making these decisions, right? Like it's an actual committee.
yeah. There's five of us, and we have to, do our very best to like uphold an ethical standard. Um, and yeah, so I hope people take the time to kind of like learn about that, and think about being kind to each other, as
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
think about being kind to each other, as that goes a long way. So that's really the other big takeaway from KubeCon, other than that. So ArgoCon is done. I'm curious, Christian. Last year it was GitOps plus KubeCon. This year it's ArgoCon plus KubeCon, and now you've got GitOpsCon coming up, like you said, on Monday. Um, I think now that you've like one has come and gone, and the other is right upon us, and I know you've been deeply involved in both conferences. What
Hmm.
do you think is like unique to like the ArgoCon experience and unique to the GitOpsCon experience?
Yeah, ArgoCon is cool because um there's a GitOps component to it. There's a CI/CD component to it, but there's also like an AI, um, ML component to it because the Argo project, as if you guys, if not, if some of you've been living under a rock, but for those who don't know, the Argo project is made up of four different tools, right? Which was developed at Intuit, inside of Intuit, after the acquisition of Applatix, right? So they acquired Applatix, took that talent to create the Argo project. And so what's cool about ArgoCon is like you get folks talking, you get a lot of Python folks there because it's kind of like, the AI ML, machine learning, machine modeling. That's kind of where Argo workflows was born out of, to be able to, that's what kind of Argo workflows is, to be able to, job management, right? To be able to manage some of the machine learning models that they were trying to run. So you get like, kind of a mix and match of people from like, CI/CD, from GitOps, and from like the machine learning aspect of it as well. And so that's kind of pretty cool. So I kind of like the fact that it's kind of like just a little bit beyond GitOps. Like it's kind of it encompasses a large focus on like other there's people use Argo for other things other than like GitOps and CI/CD. So I think that's really cool. Next, not honestly next week. Next episode, we have the folks from PipeKit to talk about coming on to talk more about that, right? More about that aspect, that side of Argo, right? Beyond just like GitOps and beyond CI/CD, just other tools. So I think that's really really cool with Argo. What I like about GitOps Con, like those folks and those that community is it's really like just practitioners, right? Like best practices and things that can be applied to anything, no matter what tool you're using, right? Like Red Hat, we're fond of Argo, right? We're all in on Argo, but it doesn't mean that we can't work with the Flux folks to say like, oh, what kind of best practices that we can like share with each other. So I think that's really cool. It's kind of like bringing like the larger GitOps community to see what we can learn from each other, not just be so siloed, right? Not be kind of like, this is kind of the way Argo does it. It's like, okay, well, if there's a better way, why not like look over there and see if we can incorporate some of those. So that's what I kind of like about the bigger GitOps community, is more about like practices and about like lessons learned, or like can you get like help with, you'd be surprised something that a Flux user uses can help you as an Argo user. Might be like, oh, I never thought about doing it that way, sort of thing. And we also had like a open GitOps kind of a maintainers meeting, I guess, in Amsterdam, right, where we kind of talked about some of this as well. It was kind of cool. It was a room of 25 of us, to kind of just talking about best practices and what we can do. What can GitOpsians do, right? I guess as you would put it, Hilliary. But that's kind of like that's kind of like why I'm excited about I'm coming off of ArgoCon, but I'm going into GitOpsCon, and it's going to be a different crowd, but very very similar kind of things going on. So
Yeah.
that's kind of what I like.
Yeah. That's good. I like conferences like that as well, that hold just sort of like the community of practice feeling. It's interesting because I wonder, I feel like that will be a better venue for this question. The number one question I got at ArgoCon was, how do you do rollbacks?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, that depends on a lot of things. Like if you've updated a data schema and you've already added data to your new data schema, like a rollback is just forget it. Just forget about it, right? Whatever you can. So it's really like, roll back by rolling forward is really what you have to do. And it's which is not always necessarily an option. But so that was the one thing that I got, was just like, it does. How do we do rollbacks? How do we do rollbacks? It's not really in there. And I think that some of the other tooling can help support rollbacks. But do you know how long it's been since I've done a rollback versus rolling forward?
A long time.
Long time.
I roll forward.
A long time. I roll forward. Roll forward.
Yeah, roll forward. Unless like the only time really that you can roll back is almost immediately.
Yeah.
Like in a canary deployment, like if it's you release 10% and it's failing, like you just kind of move. The canary failed, right? And then you kind of just like traffic those users somewhere else. So it's kind of like almost immediately. But like if you like spent, like you said, did a database, it's like schema update, and you already wrote data into it, and like it's been like a few hours, it's like you're gonna have to roll forward.
You're gonna have to roll forward. Yeah. And also like exactly to this comment, if one thing that you might have to do is just bump the version of your previous stable release and then increment to that, but it's still like a higher version.
Yeah.
Or whatever, whatever gets the state change in the way your tooling will expect it. But basically what I told the people who asked me this is like, if you're looking to do that with automation, how do you do it by hand? And like, well, we haven't figured that out yet. I said, exactly. Automation doesn't, you can't automate what you can't do by hand, manually, right? That's literally like, it's like the principle of it. I'm curious. I'm to see if in the next con, where there's kind of a wider tool set for consideration and so forth, if there's anybody doing anything interesting with rollbacks. Because I will say, look, the problem with a lot of software these days is that it's expecting frequent updates and it's expecting to, experience essentially like frequent restarts, which actually masks problems with long-term. So I've seen this in monolithic architectures, and I've seen this in cloud native architectures. This is actually just a problem, period. When something is running for a duration that significantly exceeds the duration through which it was tested, new things about your runtime and your operations can be revealed. And that's how you can get into a situation where, okay, this thing's been running for 3 months, and ideally you can still roll forward, but this thing's been running for 3 months, and now we've realized there's a really critical failure. I have a really good example of this, and it's of an operating system. So #last job. My actual last job, not last job we worked together, last job, right?
Yeah.
My actual last job, we were working with IoT gateways, and one of the candidate operating systems that we were looking to go to market with was through a partner. And they provided us the operating system image, and then we just added our proprietary software on top of it. And they had
Yeah.
their own requirements and lockdowns and everything. So apparently, they decided to remove fdisk. And for those who
Fun
don't
times.
know, that's basically like a disk defragmenting process that runs that runs at boot. So it kind of goes, okay, is there any like sort of fragmentation or any sort of like lack of data integrity? And if so, we'll run fdisk and like fix it. And it basically is like a health thing. So they removed that, but they didn't remove the runtime process to call on it.
Oh no.
So it would go, we should run this thing to like check on our disk and everything, like do the health checks and then possible repairs and everything. The operating system would detect that based off of like maybe a power outage or something. These are the type of things that we were simulating in my lab because it was IoT servers, remote servers that would be in people's buildings. And so it would restart, it would come up, and then it would go, boom. The hard drive would unmount.
Yep.
And nothing. The lights were on, network lights would be blinking, power lights on, everything's blinking. Nobody is home. You could do a scan of your network for the MAC address. It would not appear. You could plug a keyboard and mouse into it and monitor. Nothing would happen. It was completely unresponsive. The thing was just gone.
Yep.
That only shows up, and it didn't happen every time it restarted. It happened roughly 1 out of every 12 restarts. Right? That only shows up when you've been running for a really long time.
Yeah.
It's a hard debug. I actually spent 3 weeks debugging it. And then the result was, we're not going to fix that in the operating system. We're just going to not continue this partnership.
Yeah. Wow.
That happened.
Yeah, wow.
So I get it. I do understand. You can do all sorts of really great stuff with canary rollouts and everything like that, but like until something's been running at a really long time and you're in an enterprise environment where you kind of expect an 18-month support lifecycle, you're going to find a thing. You're going to find a bad thing that happens like way down the line.
A surprise for you, right?
Yeah, there is a sleeper in every piece of software that can show up only after long run times.
Yeah.
So, and then when it happens and it's so catastrophically bad, right?
Yeah.
This means that like in our situation, we would have had, and actually truthfully did have, live servers in the field that could only be recovered by a physical button touch. There was no remote recovery. When it is that level of bad, you want to roll back to where that doesn't happen. Like that is the immediate instinct is like, okay, well, we know that doesn't happen here. Let's do that. And so actually going like still figuring out how to do a like quick like roll forward and responsiveness where like you're going to get the same level of quality as you knew you had in the past. I get it. That's a challenge. And in these types of environments where like you have long support life cycles, like it's a nightmare scenario. I know. I understand. I've lived it. I do. That said, painful as it sounds, risky as it seems, I still recommend rolling forward.
Rolling forward. It's always I've always been a fan of rolling forward. Unless because it's just the statefulness of certain applications is just like sometimes you shoot yourself in the foot, right? Like you said, database schema change, like that's a roll forward. Like you're gonna have to call all your engineers and fix that issue fast because like you're rolling forward.
I mean, my best advice is plan for it, right? Plan for it. When you're making a release like that that's so breaking, figure out some way to build in some level of like backwards compatibility that you age out, right? And for it. There's figure out strategies for what you're going to do in case of absolute disaster before you actually put that release in the field. That's the best you can do.
Canary too. Canary. I mean, I know it's not bulletproof, but just canary everything. I'm a big fan. Let me see here. What else? I
did find one of the things. One of the talks I liked. I didn't find it on the sketch. I found it on the YouTube. On the YouTube. Wow,
I
how
was
old
I
am
was
I?
I was gonna say is that I'm like you just said the YouTube, so it's that's your jet lag.
uh,
I'll let one
it's
pass.
like I meant on the YouTube playlist, which would be grammatically correct. Anyway, it's this one I didn't actually get to see. Wow, it wants me to log into the chat to be able to post it. Thank you, Restream. Christian, here's this. You can paste it. I don't even understand why. Like I logged in to access this software, but okay. Um, I'm not going with that right now. Not happening. I didn't get to watch this. I did read the like the talk summary and I was like, this is on my like pin list to watch. So watch it with me because I'm going to, now that I've remembered it, I'm going to watch this later today. But it's
Yes,
Argo
there'll be a
rollouts.
quiz later.
There'll be a quiz
There'll be
later.
a quiz.
So Argo rollouts reinvented. So custom plugins for progressive delivery. That was the thing that this was the talk that I thought I didn't get to see it, but I found like the whole thing about the custom plugins and obviously progressive delivery with rollouts is a really big thing. That whole thing, I was like really curious to see like what the use case exactly is and you know everything that they've already like done like the pre-work basically that I'm hoping
Yeah,
this talk will have done for me in my next
for me, yeah, exactly, yeah.
in my next phase of things I have to care about in life, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So that was one I wanted to highlight because we've talked about progressive rollouts on the stream. We've shown them a bit. I know we've talked about custom plugins a little bit on the stream as well and
Hmm.
shown them not really, but like shown the documentation.
Yeah,
Um, so this talk was like this was one where I was like, I want to watch this one. I did
yeah,
not get to see it live. And also sometimes I'm the worst. If I realize I'm running late to your talk by like 5 or 7 minutes, I won't go in. I'll go
yeah.
catch it later because
I'll
I've
catch
like
it.
assuming you've set the stage for me, and I'm gonna miss like the context you've already
Context,
set
yeah,
for me.
exactly, yeah. It's like, why is
So
he doing it this way? Why is this person? Yeah.
yeah. So that's really what happened with this particular one. I think that was what happened with this particular one. But I digress.
Yeah,
This was the one because we've kind of touched on these things on the stream. This was the one I wanted to watch. So watch it with me, and then
that's
like I
right.
said, there will be a quiz.
There will be a quiz later on. Yeah, no, for sure. I really and I'll actually watch it too because I didn't catch this one. I'd be interested in um the need for the plugin, right? Which is kind of it's very interesting because Argo Rollouts has all these like plugins, like hooks into Prometheus and hooks into Datadog, into a lot of them, and I'm always curious about those that write their own custom one because it's like, what are we missing? Because
Mm-hmm.
and like I understand like there's like there's snowflakes here and there, but it's kind of interesting how like it just like kind of just in a meta. I think of it like kind of just like beyond just Argo rollouts, but kind of progressive delivery, like what constitutes health in your application is probably very individualistic, right? It's very like even if like if two companies running an e-commerce site that's very very similar may have different things that they consider healthy or unhealthy, or so it's kind of interesting. Like I do want to see kind of like, oh, what did they, why did they have to write the custom plugins? Because I would think for like Kubernetes or cloud native, like Prometheus should be enough, right? Or something like Datadog should be enough, but you never know. So
Yeah, you never know, and it could be due to technical debt, right?
yes, exactly. Yeah,
Could be
choose it wisely,
that simple.
right?
Choose it wisely. Yeah, it could just be due to some technical debt, something that hasn't migrated over yet, so you have to have
Mhm.
some weird connection to it. Like I'm just spitballing ideas here,
Yeah. Me too.
but
Yeah, just like thinking they have an AS400 sitting somewhere in the corner, still humming along.
Windows 2000 server.
Yeah, exactly. Windows 2000 server just sitting there on a Raspberry Pi running something. You'd be so
Yeah,
you'd be surprised. Well, you wouldn't be surprised, like you being in tech, but some people would be surprised. Some like weird stories that happen because of tech debt. Like I heard one where some university, like part of their website went down because someone in the data center noticed an Xbox and they kind of just like they unplugged it and took it home. And like but like it was running like it was like it was running part of like this university's website because like it was running It was running Linux. It's like an old Xbox, like one of the first ones. It was
That was
running
one of those
Linux.
we can, so we did
Yes,
situations, but then it wasn't like there was
exactly.
no server rack manifest explaining what every box did so that somebody would
Yeah,
know, don't ever unplug this.
yeah.
Oh man.
And it was an Xbox, and you would think like it's an Xbox, so it's like they unplugged it and like they're like, oh, I'm gonna take it to my kids or whatever. Part of the website went down, and they're like, and then they tracked it down. It's like, oh yeah, that server was running Fedora and it was or some Linux variant and
Yeah.
running Apache and serving something, right? So it's kind of so maybe something like that, right? Like they're doing a progressive rollout and they need to check an Xbox that's on the rack somewhere. So yeah, no, I'd be really interested in seeing that. Hey, Raul, thank you for joining. What's up? What's up?
Oh man, that'd be great. Well, I can't see the chat at all now because it wants me to log in. I'm
Oh
afraid
yeah,
if I do this, it's gonna like break.
kind of. Yeah, don't break, right? Yeah.
Don't
Um,
break. Um, yeah. So that was one I had wanted to see. That was really really interesting. And then um, next to the vendor booths, I'm not really sure why they go next to the vendor booths, to be honest with you, at
yeah.
KubeCon. But next to the vendor booths, like kind of like off and off to the corner, is like all the open source project booths, right? So like
Yep. Yeah.
Conveyor is there,
Yeah. Like Argo Flux,
Captain was
Helm,
there, Argo
Captain is
Flux,
there.
Weaveworks, yeah, like they're
Yeah.
all there. Um, Again, I don't know why they kind of were like why they were where they were versus like somewhere more central, but I
Yeah.
digress. Um, so if you go over there, there's a smaller project that I hadn't seen before recently, and I've actually recently joined on as a working towards being a maintainer for this project. It's called Open Feature, and it's about feature flags,
Yep.
which is
Is that
one
at
of
the
I,
Dynatrace is involved with that as well, right? From what I understand.
Dynatrace is involved with that as well. I didn't know Dynatrace was involved with it, although that makes sense because I actually, now that I think about the daisy chain of information of how I found it, it was because
Oh,
somebody
okay,
from
gotcha.
Dynatrace posted on LinkedIn that they were looking for help maintaining the Python SDK. So I digress. So yeah, Dynatrace is involved. I think Flagged is the name of the company that it's actually their
Hmm.
technology and they've open sourced it, which is like good for them. Very exciting. Um, and yeah, and so that kind of I hope to do a little bit more of a deep dive on that that project on this stream someday. Maybe bring some of those folks on to talk about it because I think it's great. I like feature flags. Do you remember when feature flags were new?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah. Yeah. I do.
right.
Yeah. Oh, we're showing our age. Yes.
Well, we're showing our age, right? It's um anyway, yeah. So I actually also I couldn't find the t-shirt. I was gonna wear it today. I got a t-shirt that proves that I
Oh, you
visited the
did.
booth.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So that was cool. I hope we can be at that project can be at more conferences in the future because I'm very excited to start being involved in that project and start actually making real pull requests again over there. I've been busy. It's been a busy few
Hmm.
weeks for me. I'm hoping to get back into the swing of actually making meaningful contributions over there. But it's a very cool project, and they have the Python SDK, like I mentioned, also Go, Java, JavaScript, like you name it. There's an SDK for it. So go check that out. It's just open feature, and it's like a CNCF incubated
Hmm.
sandbox. Sandbox is the word. CNCF sandbox project.
Well, that's cool. I didn't know it was donated to the CNCF. So cool. Awesome.
Yeah. So what? Oh, discussing about. Hang on, sorry. This I can't
Yeah.
show the comments now. Restream hates me. This
I'll
from
do this one.
Raul.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. So I love to see Richard discuss about servers. Yeah, it's like geek talk, right? And so
yeah.
this was, by the way, Raul, that was my past life. So yeah, special place in my heart for Linux administrators. Um, it's tough job, right? Someone has to do it. Someone has to be in the
Someone has to
basement
do it.
typing those commands, right? So
I feel very attacked right now
yes,
as I sit here streaming from my basement. Thanks,
yes,
Christian.
typing commands, right? Um,
Typing some commands. No, actually, I'm doing working on a big data project with an ETL.
oh,
And
okay.
so I was actually doing database schematics before this, and that's what I have to go do after this too.
Oh,
Is go finish
fun.
that.
That
Yeah,
is fun. So yeah, we are. Speaking of which, we are at the top of the hour. So
we are.
yeah. So yeah, unless you got anything else, we ready to wrap it up here. Anyone has comments here? I think next time, as I mentioned earlier, next time the guys from Kalen, I know specifically Kalen from PipeKit. I don't know if he's bringing anyone else. Um, Kalen from PipeKit, right, is coming on. If you guys don't know, PipeKit is a managed Argo workflows solution. So I don't think we've talked much about Argo workflows, like I don't think at all. So it'll be kind of cool to kind of get kind of maybe a 101 of what Argo workflows is. Well, we don't do much with Argo workflows because we Red Hat went in all in on Tecton. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but Argo workflows does stuff beyond CI/CD. So like it's so we'll get kind of maybe the 401. I'm thinking of
The
uh
411.
no, the 401. I'm thinking of like because there was a 401 error on a project I was working on earlier, and I had that in my brain. Anyways, the get the 101 kind of baseline of Argo workflows and maybe a little bit more advanced stuff. So awesome. So
Do you want a real quick armchair opinion on AI taking over Linux administration
yeah,
from rule?
yeah. So it's gonna be. I heard a cool quote, and I think this rings true. Is that and this is general, so it's not just Linux administration, but in general. So AI won't replace you. Someone using AI will, meaning that AI is just going to be just another tool like CD or PWD or LS or curl. It's just going to be another tool you use to do stuff, right? So it's AI won't replace you, but someone using AI will. And that's kind of like my thought around AI. It's just a tool, and
Yeah.
so it's one of those things. Yeah.
A- AI at the end of the day, generative AI really what you've just used is another automation tool. Automation has never replaced humans; it's only made us more efficient.
Hmm.
And so you can do anything you want in AI, but are you really going to trust it to do things
Yeah.
with like the right understanding of what it's doing compared to like resource constraints for you?
Yeah.
Probably not. Like your AI might decide, okay, the best way to solve this is a recursive algorithm, and technically that might be true, except for recursive algorithms are extremely memory intensive, and based on your data set and what you're going over recursively, your system might not actually be able to do that.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Exactly.
it's like somebody or you will be using AI and training AI to get the job done more efficiently.
Efficiently.
And
Yeah.
I would say realistically, that might reduce long term hiring trends in some areas. So instead of needing 3 Linux administrators, you might only need 2 because the AI
Yeah.
makes those 2 people more efficient. But that's like just changing the
I guess
growth
growth. Yeah.
curve
Or because like project
of a
like
staff.
because Project Wisdom, right? Like with like if you're writing Ansible playbook, why sit there and write Ansible playbook when you can just train like Chat GPT to write stuff for you, right? You can just ask it to write it for you, and it will, and then you implement it. It's that kind of stuff. And there was a saying that was it elevators have yet to replace stairs, right? And so it's
Yep.
kind of like it'll always audiobooks haven't replaced printed books, so it's kind of it's just like just advance in technology, really is what it is. So awesome, cool. All
And with
right,
every advancement in technology comes my favorite thing to say:
do it.
choose your technical debt wisely, and we will see you in 2 weeks.
Yes, bye everyone.
Bye bye.
Wait, hold on. I
Did you
forget
forget
which
how to do
one.
it?
Yeah, there we go. It says outro. Okay, bye
Outro.
everyone.
Now
Yes,
goodbye.
yes.